What if the most dangerous war you will ever fight is not on a distant battlefield, but in the silent, echoing chambers of your own mind? What if the most formidable enemy you will ever face is not a man of flesh and blood, but a phantom that wears your face, speaks with your voice, and knows every weakness you have ever tried to bury? This enemy is your own hidden fear, the architect of your hesitation, the saboteur of your ambition. It is the unseen hand that holds you back when you are on the precipice of greatness, the whispering doubt that poisons your resolve in the dead of night. It is the ghost in the machine of your own potential. You know its presence. You feel it as a cold knot in your gut when you think of taking a risk. You hear it in the excuses you make to yourself, the rationalizations for staying small, for remaining in the harbor when your soul was built to command the open, storm-tossed sea. It manifests as procrastination, as the endless pursuit of distraction, as the gnawing anxiety that hums just beneath the surface of your daily life. It is the reason you consume the stories of other great men instead of writing your own. You have felt its chains, cloaked in the guise of comfort, disguised as pragmatism, sold to you as being realistic. But you know in the quietest moments when the world is asleep and you are alone with your thoughts that this comfort is a cage. This realism is a poison. This safety is a slow death. You feel like a king living in exile within his own kingdom, watching a pretender, a coward, sit on your throne and issue decrees of mediocrity in your name. You are a warrior who has forgotten the feeling of steel in his hand, lulled into a slumber by the siren song of security. This is not another hollow promise of a life without fear. To wish for a life without fear is to wish for a sea without waves. It is a child's fantasy. No, this is a summons to war. This is a call to the part of you that is tired of hiding, the part that craves the storm, the part that knows it was forged for more. We are going to descend into the dungeons of your mind, not to slay the beasts you find there, but to tame them, to break them, to harness their savage power and make it your own. You will learn to stop running from the shadows and become the one who commands them. You will become the shadow thinker, a strategist of the soul, a tactician of the mind, who uses the very fears that once paralyzed him as fuel for an unstoppable fire. You will learn to turn the cacophony of doubt into a war drum that beats in rhythm with your unyielding heart. The war for your own sovereignty starts now. And the first casualty of this war must be a lie so pervasive, so deeply ingrained that you have mistaken it for truth. The lie is this: that fear is a signal of a threat to be avoided. This is the doctrine of the prey, not the predator. The shadow thinker knows a more profound truth. Fear is not a warning. Fear is a compass. It does not point to what you must run from. It points directly to what you must confront. It is a map, drawn in the ink of your own deepest anxieties, showing you precisely where your next great battle must be fought. The resistance you feel, that tension, that urge to retreat, that is the signal that you are standing at the gate of your own next level. The dragon you are most afraid to face is the one guarding the greatest treasure. Your fear is not a stop sign. It is a homing beacon for your own evolution. Understand this. Truly absorb it into the marrow of your bones, and you have already won the first and most critical skirmish. The moment you decide to march toward the sound of the cannons instead of away from it, you have fundamentally altered the balance of power in your inner world. You have stopped being the hunted and have begun the transformation into the hunter. Now let us delve deeper into the arsenal of the shadow thinker. To wage this war, you need more than brute courage. You need strategy, you need weapons forged in the fires of ancient wisdom, and you need to understand the terrain of your own mind. The first fear we must unmask, the great phantom that rules over all others, is the fear of insignificance. The terror of a life unlived, a song unsung, a legacy unwritten. It is the fear that you will pour your heart and soul into the world and receive only silence in return. That you will live and die, and the universe will not even register your passing. This fear drives men to two extremes: a frantic, desperate chase for external validation, for likes, for followers, for titles, for applause, or a complete and total paralysis, a state of cynical apathy where, to avoid the pain of a potential meaningless existence, they choose to do nothing of meaning at all. Both paths lead to the same barren wasteland. The shadow thinker chooses a third path. He does not seek to build a monument of stone that will one day crumble to dust. He seeks to build a monument of character within himself. He understands the stoic truth that the opinions of others are not within his control. Applause is fleeting. Fame is a vapor. The only thing that is truly his, the only thing that cannot be taken away, is the quality of his own mind, the strength of his own virtue. He wages war on the fear of insignificance not by shouting his name to the heavens, but by mastering his own inner kingdom in silence. His focus is not on being remembered asterisk, but on being a man asterisk worth asterisk remembering, even if no one is there to write the history. His daily discipline is his chisel. His integrity is his hammer. Every time he chooses the difficult right over the easy wrong, every time he faces a discomfort he could have avoided, every time he holds himself to a higher standard than the world demands of him, he is carving his legacy into the bedrock of his own soul. He finds meaning not in the outcome, but in the effort, not in the harvest, but in the deliberate, sacred act of sowing the seeds. He knows that a giant oak tree makes no sound as it grows, but a great crash when it falls. His work is the silent, relentless growth. He trains his mind to find fulfillment in the process, in the struggle itself. He learns to love the grind, the sweat, the lonely hours when no one is watching, because it is in those moments that true significance is forged. The world may or may not notice, but it is irrelevant. The man in the mirror notices. The warrior spirit within him notices. And that is the only validation the shadow thinker ever requires. He starves the fear of insignificance by feeding his own character. Now let's speak of the second great shadow, the loyal lieutenant to the fear of insignificance, the fear of failure. This is the jailer of potential, the assassin of dreams. It is the voice that whispers, "What if you try and it doesn't work? What if you give your all and you fall flat on your face? What if they laugh?" This fear builds a prison of perfectionism around you. It tells you not to start until everything is perfect, not to launch until every variable is accounted for, not to speak until you have the perfect words. And so you wait, you plan, you research, you wait for a perfect moment that will never come, while life in all its glorious imperfection passes you by. The shadow thinker sees failure not as an end but as a forging. He understands the way of the master blacksmith. A blade is not made strong by being kept away from the fire. It is plunged into the white-hot heart of the flame, beaten with a hammer, folded, beaten again, and plunged into the searing heat once more. Each blow, each fiery baptism seems like a destructive act, but the smith knows these are acts of creation. The impurities are burned away. The steel is tempered, hardened, made resilient. The scars on the blade are not signs of its weakness, but proof of the trials it has endured to gain its strength. This is how the shadow thinker views failure. Every mistake, every setback, every rejection is another blow from the hammer. It is not punishment, it is training, it is feedback. It is the universe showing him where the weaknesses are in his approach, in his knowledge, in his character. A lesser man feels the sting of the hammer and retreats from the forge, complaining of the pain. The shadow thinker leans into it. He analyzes the strike. Where did he go wrong? What did he learn? How can he adjust his stance for the next blow? He collects his failures like a warrior collects scars, not as badges of shame, but as a testament to the battles he was brave enough to fight. He knows that the only true failure is the failure to try, the refusal to step into the forge in the first place. He cultivates an appetite for action, for imperfect, messy, courageous action. He would rather create a flawed masterpiece than dream of a perfect one that never exists. He breaks the chains of perfectionism by embracing the identity of a learner, a practitioner, an eternal apprentice in the art of living. He understands that mastery is not a destination. It is the relentless pursuit of improvement, fueled by the very failures that would paralyze a weaker mind. The third shadow is more subtle, more insidious. It is the fear of judgment. This is the terror of the tribe, the ancient primal fear of being cast out. In the modern world, it is not the fear of being left to the wolves, but the fear of a negative comment, a dismissive glance, a critical review, the gossip of people whose opinions should hold no weight. This fear turns sovereign men into slaves. They dress not as they wish, but as they think others expect. They speak not their truth, but the words they believe will be most acceptable. They pursue not their own passions, but the goals that will look most impressive to their friends, their family, their followers. Their life becomes a performance, a carefully curated act for an audience that is, for the most part, not even paying attention. The shadow thinker wages war on this fear by building an unbreachable fortress within himself. This fortress is built upon a single, unshakable foundation, a powerful internal locus of control. He relentlessly trains his perception to distinguish between what is his and what is not his actions, his intentions, his character, the thoughts in another person's head, not his, the words that come out of another person's mouth, not his, the emotional reactions of the crowd, not his. He learns to view the judgment of others as a storm raging outside the walls of his fortress. He can observe the lightning and hear the thunder, but he does not allow the rain to seep through the stones and extinguish the fire within his hearth. He achieves this through a practice of deliberate self-interrogation. When he feels the sting of criticism, he does not react with anger or shame. He pauses. He asks, "Is there truth in this judgment?" If a trusted advisor points out a genuine flaw, he accepts it with gratitude as a gift, a chance to improve his craft, to strengthen his character. He treats this feedback as a scout's report, revealing a vulnerability in his defenses that needs to be shored up. But if the judgment is born of envy, ignorance, or malice, the mindless noise of the crowd, he sees it for what it is, a reflection of the other person's inner world, not his own. He lets it pass by like a dark cloud in a vast sky. It has no power to define him. He is the sole, supreme judge of his own worth. His courtroom is his conscience. His law is his own code of honor. The only verdict that matters is the one he delivers to himself at the end of each day. By ceasing to seek external approval, he paradoxically becomes a figure of immense power and magnetism. People are drawn to the one who stands firm in his own frame, unswayed by the shifting winds of public opinion. He is a rock in a churning sea, and in a world of uncertainty, that kind of strength is a beacon. We have unmasked the fear of insignificance, the fear of failure, and the fear of judgment. These are the outer guards of the citadel of your potential. But now we must go deeper, to the throne room itself, and face the most cunning and paradoxical fear of all, the fear of your own power. This is the fear of what you might become if you truly shed all your limitations. It is the anxiety that accompanies the realization of your own immense potential. To be truly powerful means to be truly responsible. If you are weak, you can blame your circumstances. You can blame your past. You can blame the world. But if you become strong, truly, undeniably strong, then all your excuses burn away. Your life, its direction, its impact becomes entirely your responsibility, and that is a terrifying weight to bear. Many men subconsciously sabotage their own success because they are afraid of the man they would have to become to sustain it. They are afraid of the discipline it would require, the sacrifices it would demand, the isolation it might bring. They are comfortable in the familiar shadows of their current self, even if it is a self they claim to despise. The known devil is less frightening than the unknown God. To step into your power is to step into a vast, uncharted wilderness. It means leaving the tribe of the mediocre behind. It means you can no longer complain with them, gossip with them, or share in their comforting victimhood. You must walk a path that few will understand and many will resent. The shadow thinker confronts this fear not with arrogance but with a profound sense of duty. He reframes his power not as a privilege for himself, but as a tool for a greater purpose. His strength is not just for him. It is for his family, for his community, for the values he holds sacred. This transforms the burden of responsibility into a mantle of honor. He is not just building a better life for himself. He is becoming a bulwark against the chaos of the world. He is a lighthouse keeper whose diligence is not for his own benefit, but for the ships lost in the storm. This sense of purpose becomes his anchor. He practices wielding his power in small, daily increments. He makes a promise to himself and he keeps it. He sets a small goal and he achieves it. Each small victory is a rep, strengthening the muscle of his will. He learns to trust himself, to rely on his own word. He proves to his own subconscious mind that he is capable of handling the responsibility of his own strength. He stops seeing his potential as a terrifying abyss and begins to see it as a mountain. The climb will be arduous. It will be lonely, but the view from the summit will be worth every single grueling step. He accepts the solitude of the peak because he knows it is better than the suffocating comfort of the valley. He chooses the eagle's lonely flight over the sheep's crowded pen. He wages war on the fear of his own power by embracing the noble burden of his own destiny. So we have unmasked the phantoms. We have named the fears that haunt the throne room of your mind: insignificance, failure, judgment, and the terrifying weight of your own potential. We have seen how the shadow thinker begins to forge the weapons of character, resilience, and inner authority to face them. But naming them is only the first volley of arrows. Understanding the strategy is one thing. Enduring the long, bloody siege is another entirely. This is where the true war is won or lost, not in the grand declarations, but in the gritty, relentless, day-to-day combat. This is the domain of discipline, not the flashy, motivational kind you see in short clips, but the deep, soul-forging discipline that becomes the very rhythm of your existence. For the shadow thinker, discipline is not a punishment. It is the framework that creates freedom. Just as a river needs banks to channel its power and flow with force, a man needs discipline to channel his energy and create real impact in the world. Without it, he is just a stagnant swamp of unrealized potential. Let's begin with the discipline of the body. The mind and body are not separate entities, they are two sides of the same coin. A weak body will house a weak mind. A mind clouded by poor health and low energy cannot possibly wage the kind of internal war we are discussing. The shadow thinker treats his body not as a vehicle for pleasure but as a weapon to be sharpened, an animal to be tamed and trained. This begins with the dawn. While the world sleeps, he rises. He does not hit snooze. That first act of defiance against comfort, against the plea of the weaker self for more sleep, is the first victory of the day. It sets the tone for everything that follows. He is in command, not his fleeting feelings. He then subjects his body to deliberate, chosen hardship. This could be the searing cold of a shower, the burning in his lungs during a sprint, the strain of lifting heavy iron. Why? Because he is teaching his nervous system at a primal level that he is the one who chooses his state of being. He is not a slave to his environment. He can be uncomfortable and still function. He can feel pain and still push forward. This physical training does more for his mental fortitude than any book on philosophy. It is applied philosophy. It is stoicism written in sweat and muscle. Each drop of sweat is a weakness leaving the body. Each moment he pushes past the point of wanting to quit, He is rewriting his own internal narrative about who he is and what he is capable of. He is building, rep by rep, a visceral, undeniable proof of his own resilience. He is equally disciplined about what he puts into his body. He sees food not as a source of fleeting pleasure but as fuel. He would not put poor quality fuel in a high-performance engine, so why would he put it in his own system? This is not about vanity. It is about energy and clarity. He knows that brain fog, lethargy, and mood swings are the enemies of a sharp, strategic mind. They are traitors within the gates. By eating clean, whole foods, he is sharpening his greatest weapon, his focus. This simple, daily act of choosing the right fuel over the easy poison is a constant affirmation of his commitment to the war. It is a quiet declaration that he values his mission more than his momentary cravings. Next is the discipline of the mind. In an age of infinite distraction, the ability to focus, to think deeply and without interruption, is a superpower. The modern world is in a constant conspiracy to shatter your attention into 1,000 tiny pieces. Notifications, endless scrolls, clickbait. These are the weapons of a culture that profits from your distraction. The shadow thinker understands that his attention is his most valuable currency. Where he invests it determines the entire course of his life. He wages war on distraction with ruthless efficiency. He carves out sacred blocks of time for deep work, untouchable by the outside world. The phone is in another room, notifications are off. He creates a fortress of solitude, even if only for an hour. In this fortress, he can strategize, he can create, he can solve problems. He can hear his own thoughts without the screaming chorus of the digital mob. This is where he sharpens his intellect, where he plans his campaigns. He also practices the discipline of consumption. He is ferociously selective about the information he allows into his mind. He does not passively consume the endless stream of outrage, gossip, and triviality that constitutes the modern information diet. He understands that what you feed your mind shapes your thoughts, and your thoughts shape your reality. He actively seeks out knowledge that strengthens him, ideas that challenge him, and wisdom that endures. He would rather read one page of Marcus Aurelius 100 times than 100 trivial articles once. He is not a garbage can for random data. He is a curator of a mental library filled only with a warrior scholar's most essential texts. This mental discipline extends to his own internal monologue. He trains himself to be the guardian at the gate of his own mind. He observes his thoughts without judgment, but also without letting them run rampant. When a thought of fear, doubt, or weakness arises, he does not suppress it, nor does he accept it as truth. He challenges it. He cross-examines it like a hostile witness. Is this thought useful? Is it true? Does it serve my mission? If the answer is no, he dismisses it. He lets it go. He is the king on the throne, not the jester whispering poison in his ear. He understands that he is not his thoughts. He is the observer of his thoughts, and the one who chooses which ones to empower with his belief. This practice, repeated thousands of times, forges a mind that is not a chaotic battlefield, but a disciplined, orderly, and formidable army, ready to execute his will. Finally, there is the discipline of the spirit. This is the deepest and most difficult work. It is the cultivation of an unshakable inner core, a sense of purpose that transcends the daily ups and downs of life. The shadow thinker knows that motivation is fleeting. It is a spark that can light a fire, but it will not keep it burning through a long, cold night. Discipline is the wood you stack every single day, ensuring the fire never goes out. But purpose is the reason you tend the fire in the first place. He finds this purpose by asking the hard questions. Why am I here? What code do I live by? What am I willing to die for? What is the great work of my life? He may not have all the answers, but the sincere, relentless pursuit of them is what matters. He writes his own personal code of conduct, his own warrior's ethos. This code becomes his North Star. When he is lost, when he is tired, when he feels the pull of despair, he looks to this code. It reminds him of who he has chosen to be. It simplifies his decisions. He simply has to ask, does this action align with my code? This spiritual discipline also involves the practice of memento mori, the remembrance of death. The shadow thinker does not fear death in a morbid way. He uses it as a tool for clarification. He knows his time is finite. This knowledge does not breed despair. It breeds urgency. It burns away the trivialities. Knowing that the clock is ticking, he has no time for petty grievances, for meaningless distractions, for the fear of what others think. Every day is a gift, a new opportunity to wage his war, to live in accordance with his code. The skull on his desk is not a symbol of an end, but a reminder to truly live, to squeeze every drop of meaning and purpose from the present moment. Because the present moment is all we are ever guaranteed. This trifecta of discipline, body, mind, and spirit is the engine of the shadow thinker's transformation. It is not glamorous. It is not easy. It is a daily, hourly, moment-to-moment commitment. It is a war of attrition fought on the battlefield of your own habits. But every victory, no matter how small, strengthens your resolve. Every act of discipline is a vote for the person you want to become. And over time, these votes accumulate, and you wake up one day to find that you are no longer the man who is afraid of the shadows. You are the man who commands them. Think back on the path we have just walked. We have dragged the hidden fears from the dark corners of the mind and exposed them to the light. We have named the fear of insignificance and countered it with the pursuit of inner character. We have faced the fear of failure and reforged it into a tool of resilience. We have dismantled the fear of judgment by building an internal fortress of self-worth. We have even confronted the terrifying specter of our own power and claimed it as our solemn duty. And we have laid out the disciplined strategy of the warrior, the sharpening of the body, the focusing of the mind, and the anchoring of the spirit. This is the blueprint for the war. This is the map of the territory. But knowing the map is not the same as making the journey. You can listen to these words and feel a momentary surge of inspiration, a flicker of the fire. But inspiration is a fickle guest. It comes and goes as it pleases. The shadow thinker does not rely on guests. He is the master of his own house. The real question is what happens tomorrow morning when the alarm goes off and the warmth of the bed calls to you. What happens when the moment comes to do the hard thing and the voice of the shadow whispers its seductive excuses? That is the moment of truth. That is where the war is truly fought. The concepts are the weapons, but you are the hand that must wield them. When was the last time you truly made a choice that was not dictated by comfort or fear? Not a grand, life-altering decision, but a small one. The choice to get up instead of hitting snooze. The choice to drink water instead of soda. The choice to read a book instead of scrolling through a feed. The choice to speak your mind respectfully instead of staying silent to keep the peace. Your entire life is a summation of these small choices. You are, right now, the result of every choice you have made up to this point. And the man you will be in 5 years will be the result of the choices you begin to make today. This is the terrifying and liberating truth of your own sovereignty. The power has been in your hands all along. The key to the cage has been in your pocket. The shadows have only as much power as you are willing to give them. The path of the shadow thinker is not a path of sunshine and ease. It is a path of grit, of solitude, of constant, voluntary struggle. It is a commitment to wage a lifelong war against the weakest parts of yourself. There will be days you lose battles. There will be days you are pushed back, wounded, and exhausted. There will be moments when the shadows seem to overwhelm you, when the old fears creep back in with chilling familiarity. In those moments, you must remember that a warrior's strength is not measured by his ability to never fall, but by his ability to always get back up, to rise again, with the dust and blood on his face, and take one more step forward. To honor his code, even when his feelings scream for him to surrender. This is your call to arms. The war horn has sounded. It echoes not on a physical battlefield but in the depths of your own soul. The life of quiet desperation, of untapped potential, of being a spectator in your own story, that life can end today. But only if you choose for it to. The path forward is not for the faint of heart, but it is the only path that leads to a kingdom of your own making. It is the only path that leads to unshakable inner peace and the dangerous power that comes from being the absolute master of your own mind. Return to this forge whenever your blade feels dull. Revisit this strategy when the fog of war clouds your judgment. But do not, for one more day, allow a phantom to sit on your throne. Now I leave you with a final question to carry into your own war. Look deep within, past the noise and the excuses, and answer it with brutal honesty. What is the one hidden fear that, if you conquered it starting this very moment, would fundamentally shatter the chains on your life and redraw the map of your entire world? Name it, face it, and go to war. Walk out into the world not as a man haunted by shadows, but as the master of them, the one who thinks in the dark so he can reign in the light. Your great and terrible becoming has just begun.